I would like to just say I coach, and yes, this isn't FIFA. This isn't Ultimate Team.
Oh,
We can't just put our favorite players and our best players. Well, before we get to mine, actually, there's cohesion, and there's things you have to understand about players that mentally you have to worry about as well. It can't just be the best 11. It's got, or, you know what, we'll just get to it.
I just...
All
Oh
right.
my gosh.
So, if we look here for a second, this is what an actual lineup looks like. Bay Area, stand up and let's be heard. No more sitting in the shadows. We're known for our winning ways, and not being the best, that just ain't for us. We're loud, we're proud, and we're unapologetic about it. So even when times are looking as dark as the black and blue we wear on our crest, we tell them that Goonies never say die. And when we're done shaking things up on the pitch, there's another shake coming. This is something that's been created by the people, for the people. This is everything and anything San Jose Earthquakes related. This is Aftershock. Vamos, San Jose. All right, welcome to Aftershock, the first podcast. Hope you guys like that intro, or as we like to call it, the entire budget of the show. I'm Saz, this is Jacob. We're just going to get right into it. So let's talk about last season.
There's a lot to talk about as far as last season.
We made playoffs. That's great. That's
positive.
the goal. Yeah. We went out in a really depressing fashion, just absolutely destroyed on penalties. But we made playoffs. That was the goal first, and now we're looking to evolve this season, make maybe a deeper run.
Yeah, I think given some of the underlying problems in the squad, we made it to the playoffs. I think that it's something to build off of going forward.
Yeah, with Vako and Kashi obviously not being in the squad, who were very dominant for us on the pitch. Missing them for the majority of the season did hurt. But that leads us to the offseason, where it did seem we had some acquisitions that we were able to replace for them. And now we did lose Nick Lima, who seemed to be a staple for us in homegrown, which seemed really damaging at first. Yeah. On top of the fact we lost Husin, who is another one who seemed to be with us. And it seemed the first 5 trades we had were all just, all right, we need to get rid of people and make some money because on top of coronavirus and Ori being the smallest market, we had no money. So it was good to see some players come in.
Yeah, I think it's good that we brought in some more depth at the right back position. I think also we need to figure out a different style of playing going forward, but I think that now Almeida has some more pieces to work with. He never really took a liking to Houston, I believe, at all throughout the season. I think now that he's got some more of his past players in the squad, like trophies and stuff like that, I think he's really going to be able to do a lot more with what he has.
Yeah, and we know Almeida loves his favorites.
Yeah, exactly.
He has his favorites, and he loves to play them.
Fierro, Rios, Vega,
we'll get to that. Yeah, but it's good to see some moves, because, like, as a San Jose fan, anytime the transfer market's up, we're like, okay, who cares? Like, we never get anyone. Or anytime there's a rumor for anyone coming from Europe, I'm sure we're going to get him, right? Never even with other MLS teams, we never are in the conversation for getting trades.
Yeah, it's difficult because we don't obviously have the budget to be scouting out these, highly requested players, lots of demand for them. And a lot of the times the players we get, you have to look them up and see, all right, where are they going to fit in? How will they fit into the system? And it's going to be a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we had the official change from Avaya Stadium to Earthquake Stadium last season, and now a new 10-year deal for PayPal Park.
PayPal Park.
Yeah, it's I didn't like it at first. It's growing on me. I like it, kind of like a Jurassic Park theme, or as Reddit has already deemed it, PP Park. So glad we have that attached to us already. So that's lovely. All right. Let's go into what we want to see from the Quakes this year. This is Almeida's 3rd year with the club, and we've seen definitely without doubt, especially at the MLS's back tournament, a real explosive offense and just a lot of fun, creative games. Also games where we're having 7-0 losses. Yeah. So let's see what we want. What do you want to see from them?
I think I want to see more consistency. I think you would agree. I think the main, issue was we went on a huge string of losses here and there, and we just never really found our footing at some points throughout the season. At times I think you would agree we looked good. We had good moments, and then, games against LAFC and Portland, I remember we got wiped out. It was terrible.
Yeah, I would agree with the consistency. I also have that down as a note. I believe both of the last seasons we started as the worst team, if not bottom 4 team, for a majority of the season. And there's MLS has a little chart, and you can see even last season we start at the bottom and then we skyrocket towards the middle. But with our man-to-man pressing system and little substitutions, we end up being gassed by the end of the season, and that puts us on another losing streak. So I'd really like to just see Obviously, it'd be cool to start with a hot win, but let's just start with something consistent. Like, I don't want to see loss, 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 win, loss, 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 win, which, yes, is consistency and losses, but I want to see better from us. And that kind of leads me to my next point. I want to see more substitutions.
I agree. I think that we
Yeah.
need squad rotation for sure, especially with some of the depth that we have as far as youth talent. We have a lot of young kids in the squad. I
Yes.
think that we could take advantage of that. Maybe start to phase Wando in and out, different players here and there. But I think that we definitely need to keep our squad fresh and healthy.
Yeah, especially with a tiring man-to-man press system that has won us a lot of games. That can be heavy on legs, especially for someone like Wanda Lowski or Shea Salinas, who are a bit older and have been doing it for a long time. And then, like you said, we have many young kids that are able to get into the squad and maybe build for our future. But also, like, if the scoreline is down, we're down a couple goals, just give some of the kids a run. If we're up a couple goals, give the kids some run.
Yeah, there was too many times where it got to the end of the game, we were down by a goal or so, and we just looked so one-dimensional, just throwing in crosses to Wanda, hoping something would take a lucky bounce and we would capitalize. But, I think sometimes we need to switch it up, give some of these young kids a chance to run, some creativity, some flashiness. I think we need to incorporate some of that more into this season.
Agreed. And one thing I want to see this season, and this is going to be big for Almeida, is I want to see the hot man play. If he's having a good game, I want to see him play. Now, I'm all for one that a coach should believe in his players and give them opportunity, and everyone has a bad game. But I'm tired of seeing the same exact players play every game, especially when we're on a losing streak. We need to change things up. Biggest of all, I am tired of seeing Fierro play. I don't want him on the bench. I don't want him in the park. I don't want him 3 cities down. Look, he ends up on the stat sheet every single game somehow, but it comes at 3 goals coming towards our way and 75 turnovers each possession.
Yeah, I think he's just one of those players where he's so frustrating to watch at times, and you can't really put your finger on why. It's just the way he plays, something about his aggressiveness, and there's just something lacking. I don't know. Either way, he's just frustrating to watch, and I think that we need to figure out some other solution for that left-hand side.
Again, I'm all for believing in the players and giving them chances, and not everyone is going to feel good in their first game, or maybe it takes them a couple games to get into it, especially with all these new signings. But we can even see with Daniel Vega the last couple seasons. It seemed like every game he was doing something silly that led in a goal, and it took forever for JT Markanowski to get in. And now, look, he's the national team goalkeeper.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know why it took so long for Vega to be, benched. It was like a string of 3 or 4 games where it was error after error. And they weren't just like, they conceded a corner or something like that. No, his were crucial errors that led to goals directly, saves that you would have expected from a goalie. And I don't know. It's just good that eventually JT got his playing time. However, I think Almeida needs to be a little more cutthroat and ruthless with some of the players that aren't performing.
Well, and that's another concern of mine. Vega was a player under Almeida, and now we have signed, I believe, 2 or 3 players that have previously played out under Almeida. So I don't want to put in all these new players who aren't performing, and then all of a sudden Almeida keeps playing them because he's one of the favorites.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that we need to make sure we have that rotation just to, encourage some competition in the squad.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big thing, especially at a few key positions in our starting 11. I think that competition would really, push our team forward.
Yeah, I would also love to see the midfield actually churn and attack with the ball. Too many times I see Jackson Yule, Remedy, Judson, all checking to the center back. The center back plays them the ball. They have space right behind him to attack and move forward. They play it right back to them, or they'll play it to the outside, and we just go left and right, and eventually we get trapped, and we either have to send a long ball or we get counterattacked. Very rarely have we been churning and attacking. And if you watch some of the qualifying games for the U.S., obviously it was depressing that we didn't qualify, but Jackson Yule was a star of the team. He was even the captain, and we saw him receiving the ball, churning, and attacking spaces and creating chances. And even in the game where they ended up getting knocked out, he scored a lovely goal from churning, attacking the space, and just shooting. I'd like to see that for the Earthquakes this season.
Yeah, I think that leads into a bigger discussion about our style of play. Our midfield is turning into a possession-based, tactic. It's just sometimes when we're down by a goal or it's level, I think we need to put a little bit more pressure on. And I think you're right about that creativity. Make something happen. Be able to turn on the half and just feed somebody in running in behind. I think that we need definitely more of that, and hopefully we can encourage Yule and Judson to pick the ball up in our defensive third and find some sort of distribution going forward.
Yeah, and it's not just creativity in the midfield, it's the final third. In the MLS's back tournament, we were known for our explosive counterattacks, but if we're not on the counter, it seems we have no option in the final third. Like we were saying earlier, it just seems that we get the ball and we hope that Wondolowski makes a run that we can get on the end of. And 10 out of 10 times, it seems like we're not scoring.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating watching us just cross the ball in the whole time. It makes me feel like if we don't get a lucky bounce, it's going to be very difficult for us to score.
Mm-hmm.
There's glimpses of us having these moments of creativeness going forward. I think Espinoza is a player capable of that. But, you look at players like Wando, and when we had him, Erickson, it was sometimes difficult to look at them and say, how is he going to create a goal? Maybe they'll get a goal somehow, but how are they going to create something? How are we going to put the pressure on?
Something I'd also like to see is starting the game off hot. We saw it against Oakland. The first 20 minutes, terribly slow. It wasn't even the first game back. They played against Sacramento the week before. We really played to the other team's level. We don't come out and say, we're the Earthquakes. This is our style of play. They have to beat us. We always say, okay, let's see what they're doing. We're kind of feel it out. We're right with you. Oops, we messed up. Boom, goal in the net. Now we have to come back. And we're great at coming back. We all know it. Goonies never say die. Even against Oakland, we made a great comeback. And as fun as those are, it'd be nice to have the lead, or at least be putting pressure on from the get-go.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a worry when you see us struggling against a team that's not even in the top tier of our country and also our league regardless.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating when we watch us come out so slow against teams like Sacramento and Oakland, and you just think to yourself, guys, this is a team that we should be putting pressure on, making them defend. Instead, it looked like we were vulnerable at the back and we were unsteady. We were very shaky.
Mm-hmm. And then, as we were mentioning earlier, I'd like to see some of the youth play. Cal came on a lot last year. Beeson came on a couple games. And then it'd be cool to see kids like Jacob Anchorage get some game appearances. But I want to see Cal and Beeson starting in more games. We need to find the solution for Wondolowski. I'd love to see Benji get a couple runs because he didn't even get to play against Oakland. I didn't even see him warming up.
I don't know what happened.
I'd like to see Cal and Beeson get some starts. Youngworth, while I like him personally, and this is a heated debate between us, he is getting older, and we're going to need a solution for that. And Beeson is young. And last season, I really liked him. The only problem is it seems he was a little nervous, and those nervous moments led directly to goals, which shot his confidence. Give him a couple more games. Get him used to the league standard, the league's pace, and then he'll feel more comfortable, and he can really be a contributing factor as for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we need to incorporate some more youth into our starting 11. I think that Youngworth, for the pace of MLS, is a liability at many points. I think that he also is very shaky, passing out of the back at times, especially when he puts us in dangerous situations. That makes me mad.
We'll get to that later.
I think that, we need to talk more about certain crucial positions in the starting 11, like the right back and the left wing striker. How are we going to create goals? How are we going to concede less? I mean, there's a big discussion about that.
And then just some of the concerns we have for this season. The uncertainty of Almeida's future. Almeida is known for coming into smaller clubs and fixing them up and then leaving. Now, San Jose has definitely been a challenge for him. He hasn't won the league yet compared to his other teams. Making the playoffs kind of seems like a win at this point. There hasn't been real talks about a contract extension, and this being his third season in the club is the second longest he's ever stayed at a club in all of his managerial career. And what comes with that concern is, like we said earlier, he plays his favorites. We're really building a squad full of Almeida's players. Yeah, exactly. So what happens when the next coach comes in and he plays a different style? Now we have all these players who aren't used to it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the one good thing, the positive about Almeida staying so long is we have seen the club back him. And as far as potential targets, obviously we don't know all the scouting and stuff, but the fact that he's gotten so many of his former players and players that he's familiar with that would hint at him, saying, all right, I trust these guys.
Yeah.
And like you said, going forward, if things don't work out, we're going to be stuck with a lot of these players in our squad that may not fit for how the club's identity wants to go. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is concerning, but I will say every game Almeida seems passionate. It doesn't seem like he's giving up on us. It seems like he wants to be there. It would just be nice to hear something about a contract extension.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that sorted out soon.
And then, like we said, the inconsistency are there. We really want to have a consistent squad this year, not just with the player rotations and everything, but results. Obviously, you can't control that every week, but we can't be going on these big lose streaks so that at the end of the season we have to make this miraculous run against LAFC, Portland, some of the other top dogs in the league.
Yeah, I think that the biggest step forward for us is, how are we going to string together a few wins? There was so many times where we just fell apart. It felt like what happened? You're left looking at these goals that we're conceding, and
we couldn't connect 3 passes.
And you think, guys, come on now, we got to play better than that. We definitely need to find a way to get our confidence up and keep things going in the right direction.
We had 3 games in a row last season where it was NFL scorelines.
It was
yeah,
awful. That LAFC game was one of the worst games I've seen.
Portland,
yeah, Portland. Yeah, there's something to be said about us struggling against bigger teams. At the same time, we did have moments against bigger teams.
We beat LAFC
as
2
well,
out of 3. Yeah,
but even in that game, it wasn't a convincing win. It was sort of a lucky
last
goal
minute
from Yule. But
yeah.
I mean, there is potential for us to succeed. I don't know if we're at the level we need to be to compete with those teams, but we definitely need to find a way to keep it competitive, just to allow us a chance to steal the game or something. We can't get blown out 7-0, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you say that we don't have the level to compete, and we saw these off-season moves and how the squad's been building last 2 years. So you would figure in the third year, oh, this is going to be great. We have new players that Almeida already knows, so they don't have to build into the squad too much. I was really excited. I thought we were going to come off to a strong start. And then we got to these preseason games. Yeah. Obviously, the Sacramento game, it wasn't live streamed, so we weren't able to see it. But the Earthquakes did end up winning 6-1 versus Sacramento, where they played 3 40-minute quarters or periods. And I think the one takeaway from that game was Cade Cowell. He got a hat trick, which is really nice to see, because a big problem with Cowell last year was he was able to get in dangerous positions, and it seemed even at 16 he was scaring veterans and pros, but missed 7, 8, 9 one-on-ones and just really could have won us the game on multiple occasions.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because when he gets in those positions, you want him to score and you expect him to score, but at the same time, you have to keep in the back of your mind that he's so young. A lot of these things will come with time. However, we did see many videos of him training over the summer, working on his finishing.
Yep.
Hopefully that translates into the game, because I think we both agree that regardless of whether he starts or not, whether he comes off the bench, he can have an impact. And if he can take advantage of those decisive moments where he has a good, clean look at goal, if he could put a few more of those away this year, I think he'll be in a good position going forward.
Yeah, anyone who followed Cade Cowell on social media this last offseason saw that if he wasn't at Coyote Trail or wherever he likes to do his little hikes, every single day was doing finishing drills with one of his trainers.
Yeah, he's definitely aware of the problem. It must be frustrating for him, thinking about those chances he's missed. Hopefully that motivates him to, get better.
And it's good to see that motivation.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things you can have as a young kid. You don't want to lose that passion once you reach the professional level.
Yeah, you don't want to think you're already there.
Yeah, because I think it's obvious, he does have, the raw ability.
He was drawing interest from Barcelona, so I think he hears things like that and he's like, I need to improve if I want to play there.
It's tough to keep a level head with all that going on, because then you might get starstruck, you might just be a little phased by all these rumors, and you might feel some pressure coming on you. But if he starts to develop into the player he can be, I think he'll be just fine.
All right. The Oakland game. Let's break that down a bit, because that was live streamed in on a potato for quality, but we were able to catch it. The first thing for me is the midfield. It's the same old we were talking about earlier. Just we passed back every time. And then I think we just completely wasted Remedy. I didn't even see him in the game. It literally took 30 minutes till I realized he was actually playing. Instead of playing him at his game, which we saw for Atlanta United when they won the MLS Cup, and he was one of the best players on the squad, where he would get the ball, he would churn and attack, and he would be a center mid at the attacking mid position because he had to push everyone so far. We saw him filled into the Jutsen role, who was out of the game because of green card issues. Hopefully we can resolve that because he was a big factor for us. Defensive Player of the Year last year. Player of the Year, for us at least. We just saw him going in between the two center backs and becoming a third center back on offense, or he would pass right back to the center backs. Had no impact on offense for us. Ewell, again, on the national team was incredible for us, churning, attacking. And then when he comes back to the Quakes, he's limited to wall passes. It was very, very frustrating to see from our two holding mids.
Yeah, I completely agree. It seemed like we had no control in the midfield at all. It seems like we were playing to Oakland's game style. You know, they kept attacking us down the wings, and we were leaving space in behind. You know, we conceded a couple terrible goals, but then when we did get the ball back and we were able to try passing into the middle, it was just, what were the options? How are we going to break the lines? It was very frustrating to watch because we do know, like you said, that there's players in the squad that are capable of making the half turn, finding a distribution wide, something like that. We saw you will do it in the national team, and it's just when we come back to San Jose, there's something that just stops us from, you know, that little bit of urgency.
Yeah. And then my next biggest thing was what happened to Youngworth and Alanis. It really seems like they were taken into two separate rooms and given two completely different game plans. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it just I don't even know what's happening. It seemed like Youngworth was trying to play sweeper, but then he would have to press really high, and then he was giving away ball. It seemed like Alanis thought he was the main man. It seemed every time he got the ball, he would take it for a little bit and then go for a long ball. But then we didn't have Wando up top to go for him. While Wando was playing, it looked like we were never passing it to him. We were just sending long balls, and Alanis just never sent it anywhere. They looked completely disconnected for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a bigger issue because, you know, if Oakland can do that to us, when we play against players with more quality in front of the goal, for example, there were so many occasions where Youngworth was caught high, like you said, and same thing with Thompson. Thompson loves to get forward. Our whole right side on the counter was exposed, and it brings up so many defensive questions.
It forces Espinosa to come back, too.
It does, and it's very frustrating to watch because we should not be playing that way. We want to see us have some stability at the back and, you know, a strong spine through the middle, and we got completely blown out of the water in the first 60 minutes. It
Agreed.
was not
good. I mean,
good.
It took 60 minutes for us to wake up. The first 20 was horrendous, but it took 60 minutes to wake up.
We scored 2 goals in like 5 minutes, and the floodgates kind of opened.
Yeah.
But, you know, to get to that point, it was terrible. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. The thing on top of that is, not only are they a league below us, they had 4 players on trial.
Yeah, it was just that sort
4
of...
players who aren't going to be playing next season.
It was just that sort of game where you're disappointed because it's a team that we really should be taking care of. Yes. That's the bottom line. I don't want too many excuses. I want the reality to be we should not be struggling against a team like that as much as we did.
Yeah, I don't care if it's preseason and everyone's kind of nonchalant and they're coming back. A majority of those guys are realistically going to be in our starting 11 for 9 out of 10 games this season.
Exactly.
And again, a league below us, 4 trial players. They should be able to take it easy and walk through them. We shouldn't have to go all out and beat them. We should be going all out, but we shouldn't have to be a team like this.
Let alone to be dominated by them the whole first half.
We were getting passed around. I thought I was watching Prime Barcelona again.
Yeah, the Oakland roots.
Yeah. I will say, there were a couple of bright spots for me this game. First off was Paul Marie. I was not a fan of his. I didn't like when he came on as a sub. I didn't care who we were playing. I thought every single game was killed defensively, was killed offensively, just looked a pace behind, didn't look to the MLS standard. Was a all-star today, or at least when we played the Roots. I thought that was by far his best game in the black and blue. He looked like a competent left back. He was making runs up the line. He was beating whoever his winger was every time. And I don't want to say he shut down the guy on his side, but a lot of the goals came from the other side and or when Fierro came back.
Yeah, I think he had a decent game. I wouldn't go as far to say like an all-star, but I do agree that he filled in all right at the left back position. A couple times he got out. Got caught out. I don't know how much blame you can put on him for that. He doesn't really play there. It's not his natural position. Probably doesn't understand the marking as much. But I do think that he filled in well, and he he performed.
I think what I like from this is I still think Lopez is the number one option at left back, but I think this creates competition for Lopez.
Yeah,
Can't let him be comfortable. And now, if Marie continues to play like this, I'm comfortable with him being in some of these games. Maybe not all of them. I still rather have Lopez, but I'm not going to be hurt when I see it on the team sheet.
Yeah, as we discussed before, I think competition is a really good thing for the squad. I think that especially across the back line, there needs to be that competition. I mean, I think you would agree that Alanis is pretty much a first name on the team sheet in the defensive line.
Agreed. Yeah.
But the other three, there's competition
Yeah.
there.
Yep. Agreed. For me, all-star of the game, highlight of the game. This was beautiful to see. Man of the match, Chofis.
Yeah, that was good.
Outstanding. Not an Earthquakes player, just high level, constantly moving off the ball. 9 out of 10 times when he got the ball, churned and attacked. And if he didn't, he would go to another angle to create and try and find a new option to go forward. Very rarely was he going back. And then what a peach of a goal he had. Oh.
Yeah, I think we saw a glimpse of what he can provide for us this season. You know, the first half we struggled, but once we settled down and we started possessing the ball, taking risks, he was the link between the back and the front for us. You know, he definitely has that quality to produce something, especially that goal we saw. That would be very nice to see us taking some sort of risk going forward this season, because there's too many times where we just result to crossing. If we have that threat through the middle as well, it opens up so many different options and dimensions.
Also has an extremely dangerous eye for a ball. I love Wando, and he's done wonders for us, but if you put Cade Cowell up top, you put Benji up top, you put Espinoza in an attacking position, there were 4 or 5 chances that he tried giving to Wando that, bless his soul, he didn't get the pace to get there.
Yeah.
He put someone a little pacier up there. He broke the line every single time and was able to get it one-on-one.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that Trophies offers is he's quick.
Yeah.
And I think that his style of play would probably be suited more towards, you know, some of our younger players. I don't think Wando is the right partner for him up top. I think that Wando...
I thought him and Espinoza were great together, though.
Yeah, I would say that Wando is a player that, you know, he thrives in movement in the box. I think Trophies offers a lot, you know, on the counter or going forward, not in these, you know, playing in from the wide. I think that Trophies and a younger player, like you said, Cowell or Benji, I think they could provide some, you know, serious attacking threat.
I mean, even Shea.
Yeah, even Shea Salinas, he's quick as well. I mean, I think there's definitely different options we have going forward.
Yeah. And now to be on the complete opposite side of the scale, Carlos Fierro. I back the manager 100%. He's been great for us. Outstanding, brilliant talent, no one can doubt. I don't know what Fierro is doing for us. I get it. He ends up on the score sheet every time, and that's important. He just looks so slow. He churns over the ball almost every single time. He's not connected to the play. I thought he might have got a concussion midway through the game and thought he was playing American football. Because on the penalty, there was no one near him, and he tried catching the ball.
Yeah.
Gives away a penalty. Oakland Roos go up 1-0.
Yeah, Fierro definitely is a question mark in the squad. I think we both agree on that. Fierro at times just makes you think, how is he still starting all of our games? And that's a bigger question, but Fierro needs to figure out his role. Sometimes it feels like he's coming back too far on defense, or, you know, he's trying to play too possession based. I think what we need from our attackers is, you know, that threat. And sometimes I feel like Fierro just doesn't have that threat.
Yeah, he's just not connected with the play, and it's the same thing we saw with Vega, right? Like, I don't know what was happening. And I'll give credit to Almeida. I'll still trust in them only because Andy Ruiz was another one who, for the majority of last season, was killing me when he was a striker.
Yeah.
Just wasn't connecting the play, walking all the time. But I will give credit to Ruiz. Once we moved him to that attacking mid role, he really found life. And now, I'm not going to start him personally if I'm the manager, but he's earned at least some substitution appearances as a consistent sub. I thought Andy Ruiz came on really strong at the end of last season.
Yeah, I think Rios definitely offers something in the middle of the field. I don't think he has the physicality as far as, you know, the pace and quickness to,
Agreed.
you know, get in behind and provide that sort of threat. But I do like him on the ball. I do like him linking it up and playing out wide. He does have that, you know, technical ability and the spatial awareness around him.
Smart player, too.
Yeah, to pick out a pass. I think he does offer that. it's just sometimes when he was up top, it was frustrating to watch because you're like, where are you running? Are you just going to sit there, or are you going to...
Never in the box.
Yeah,
Never in the box.
It's too easy to mark as a defender.
Yeah. You can't have him and Fierro on at the same time.
Absolutely not.
I mean, if you look at the stats, though, when they were on together, I think in the last half of the season, I think it was like 4 out of the last 7 games, they scored or assisted someone.
It was luck.
Luck.
I don't know. I mean...
You got to find the cost management, because I feel like it's costing us more goals. Yes, they're scoring 1 or 2, but I feel like if we put out a better squad, we'll get 3 goals.
Yeah, I think that we're leaving out a couple better options.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
As of right now, I guess you have to leave them in because they're still producing, but I am ready to say goodbye.
I agree. I think that it's time to maybe give some other kids a chance. Yeah. We'll see.
Rest in peace, Claude, but as Arsenal Fan TV says, it's time to go. It's time to go. Espinoza, just another bright spot for the team. Fantastic. Yeah. I don't care if he's not scoring goals. His work rate in the 90th minute, even just pressing and creating. And when him and Chofis really started to link up, it was incredible. Obviously, when Vako departed, teams were able to kind of double team him more, so they couldn't pick one side or the other. They just knew it's only coming from Espinoza. So that's why I liked having Thompson in, because then he was able to cut in more, and they had to guard him and Thompson. And then when Chofis got in there, that's 3 players they had to mark.
Yeah.
Opened him up more.
Yeah, I think on that right-hand side, Espinoza is by far our most attacking threat. Mm-hmm. It's not even close. For me, he was the offensive player of the season by far last year.
Yeah, last season, without doubt.
And he just has that, killer instinct inside of him sometimes that you witness and you think, okay, that's what we need more of. There's times when he'll go at defenders, take them on the dribble, and he'll find the finish. He definitely has the potential to make us, threatening. And there's no other way to put it. He does have that quality.
Yeah. One thing I want to discuss is Lucio versus Thompson. I wasn't big on Tommy Thompson as a right back. I liked him in the attacking section. I thought he was creative. He's honestly probably my favorite player on the squad to watch. But defensively, he lacked a little bit. But I thought at the start of the game he was great. But when I saw Lucio, I'm like, oh, we have a right back. This guy has played here for years, understands the position, understands the run. First couple touches were off, but once he got in the flow of the game, putting in dangerous crosses, looked like a fullback.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of him play, but I think you're right. He does bring that experience to the right back position. There's times where you look at Thompson and you think, oh, is he really an outside back?
The second goal, he got a little nervous, stepped too much.
Is he really a defender? I think that Thompson, he has something to offer going forward, but, that competition with Lucio, I think that, that could be a good battle between them over the course of the season.
I think Lucio has more experience, and it's especially when Flo is on the same side as Thompson. Flo likes to get a little high, presses. Thompson's still recovering from a run. He doesn't understand the other 3 need to become a 3-back while Flo's up. Yeah. I saw Lucio do that immediately. Yeah. So I think that experience kind of helps out and balances our squad a little bit more. But it's tough because I really love watching Thompson play.
Yeah, Thompson, he does offer us things at moments going forward. But for the good of an entire game, sometimes he does lack that, defensive mindset. And that could cost us, especially, as you mentioned, with Flo thinking he's number 9. So, going forward. So, I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
All right. I mean, we've talked about some of the players a bit. So, what we have for you guys is we have what we both think the starting 11 should be. And we both made this about a week ago. We've both been sitting on it, and we just have now shared. And I'm looking at your lineup, and I'm about to fire you from this show. Okay, we're going to go into what we both think the lineup should be. So this is Jacob's lineup. Okay, we can just stare at that for a second, and then... I mean... Why don't you break it down for me? I can't even look at you while this happens.
I think there's a few things that I want to incorporate. I understand that this is not the most experienced team. I think that there's definitely some weak spots. Yeah. However, as far as a style of play... I think that this team offers something. So this is
goals. Yeah, there's going to be goals for sure.
Yeah. Maybe on the wrong end of the pitch, but no. So I think JT in goal. That's a shoe-in, right, between both of us. Yeah, okay. I think Alanis as well. Yeah. This is where we differed. I mean, Lopez, I think you also put, right?
Yeah.
But Beeson and Thompson, that right-hand side is definitely going to be up for debate. We touched on Thompson versus Lucio. Yeah. I opted for Thompson just because I haven't seen Lucio play too much. Mm-hmm. I think that Thompson he has a good understanding of the system that Almeida plays. Whether or not he executes that, I don't know. But I think that Thompson just has that, long run with Almeida in the Earthquakes.
I
And
just see Jordan Morris on the left wing when he comes back from
yeah,
a loan from Swansea.
No, I'll be the first to say
Yeah.
I think Thompson and Lucio could be interchanged.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. This is a crucial one here for
I think
me.
the holding mids were
Yeah,
that was settled last year.
yeah.
That's a great
Let me
partnership.
just touch upon number 15 at the back there.
Oh,
I think that Flo he's too much of a liability at times. He's very slow. He got burnt so many times. Also, playing out of the back, Flo is very, very unstable.
Beeson's not any better.
I don't know. He's younger, and
Yeah.
Flo just I'm sick and tired of him, honestly.
Okay.
But moving forward, Jubel and Judson, I think those are shoes.
Yeah.
I think Chofis as well in the
Yeah,
number 10
that
position.
Oakland game was outstanding. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, take it with a grain of salt because it was a preseason game, but I think that's kind of what we need to connect the front and the back. Espinoza, shoe-in, right?
Yeah.
Haji and Kikanovic, that's where it gets a little interesting.
This is where it shows why we're talking on the podcast and not the coach.
Yeah. So, no, if I wanted to actually coach, I would
Now
I
he
would probably
changes it.
pick a little
Now he
bit.
changes it.
But no, this is how I
Yeah.
would like us to play
Oh,
sometimes.
okay, yeah.
So Haji at the left mid, I just like his creativity. I think that he offers a flashiness going forward. There's times when he would come on as a sub, and he definitely looked to go at a defender. I think we missed that sometimes with Fierro.
Yeah.
Fierro just,
Every time with Fierro,
Fierro
yeah.
just kind of gets a little lucky with these positions, and he manages to get a goal. I don't know. I think that, and not that Haji is the strongest player in the squad, but I do think that Haji represents a position that is up for grabs, right? I think there's a lot of different players you could throw in at that left mid. That's all I'll say. And then up top, I can't keep putting Wando up front. I know that's a tough one, but Wando is just probably a liability at this point. I think that he would be okay coming off the bench at times to try and nick a goal or something. But playing a whole 90 minutes every game with Wando up top, or at least most of the game, it's so one-dimensional. He doesn't offer that much going forward other than, movement in the box. Sometimes he drops down deep and, connects and switch the field. But other than that, I'm really not that impressed with Wando anymore. It's brutal, I know, but I think that we definitely need to phase out and bring in some new talent.
I just with Beeson, I didn't see passing. He looked too nervous on the ball for me, and Kikanovic, we haven't seen him yet. I can't. And then Haji was in the midfield. Now we have him on wide. We don't know how fast he is.
He came in out wide a few times. And as far as Kikanovic, I wrote a little piece on this on the website going into it a little more. But I watched Kikanovic play a couple of times at the collegiate level, and I understand that's a completely different pace. However, he does have a knack for goal. He's very quick. He's physically strong. I think that's a big upside compared to Wando. Wando's at the point where he has stamina, but as far as that blistering pace, multi-dimensional threat other than just movement in the box, I think that Kikanovic offers something going forward in a way that Wando can't.
I also like his size and his potential for hold-up play, but we have to see how he does at this level.
Yeah, so let's see what you have to say. I mean yours is probably a little bit different, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm going to show you what an actual lineup looks like with balance and...
If I see Flo at the back, I'm not...
Yeah, well, I would like to say I coach, and yes, this isn't FIFA. This isn't Ultimate Team. We can't just put our favorite players and our best players. Well, before we get to mine, actually, there's cohesion, and there's things you have to understand about players that mentally you have to worry about as well. It can't just be the best 11. It's got... Or, you know what? We'll just get to it.
Oh my gosh.
So if we look here for a second, this is what an actual lineup looks like. This isn't my ultimate team list. This is what a squad looks like. This is a team. JT in goal, I think.
Yeah,
No doubt. We both agree.
I think
we'll get to all the agrees first.
Yeah.
Alanis, I think we just him and Kasia last season were outstanding.
Yeah.
I thought Kasia was actually better, so I thought that was a big loss. But Alanis was outstanding. He's left-footed, keep him on the left side. I had I had Lopez, but I was tempted to put Marie after last game. That was impressive, but it's still Lopez for me.
That would have been a pretty rash decision to put Marie
after
in.
one game,
I think
yes.
Lopez over the course of the last season, he was
proved
good.
himself. Yeah. I think Marie's earned some substitutions though, or at least a couple starts here.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
All right, Yule and Jutson, that was our midfield. Yep, I think it allows for more spacing for Yule to go forward, and it allows some of our wingbacks to get up because Jutson will kind of sit back and he could play that third center back, as we were saying. Remedy got stuck with last time, and then Trophies, just outstanding. We need that. What we've been needing. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah,
both agree there.
I agree.
Espinoza, our best attacking player last, arguably 2 years. I thought Valco was when he was playing, but Espinoza always up there. Now to the differences. Your favorite player in the entire squad after Rios and Fierro. Flo Youngworth. I think this is where it comes down to, yes, he is slow and it gets burnt a lot of times. He gets caught too high at times. But this is where chemistry comes about. He speaks German, he speaks English, and he now knows Spanish. He can talk to the whole back line. Everyone else there is fluent in Spanish. That's their first language. On top of that, energetic, always screaming at the squad, always demanding more of the squad, never has his head down, always fighting for the ball, very aggressive, lights up the squad. You always count on him to be an energizer bunny. You always need that in the squad, especially when you're down 2 or 3 goals, like a San Jose Earthquakes can be. You need that guy who's going to fight for you, and he inspires the back line. He can lead it. I just need him and Alanis to connect more, which we saw towards the end of the game is better. And because of that, because I have Youngworth in, that's why I put Lucio in. And I originally had Tommy Thompson in until after the Oakland Roots game where I saw Lucio and I saw a full right back position. I love Tommy. He's my favorite player to watch on the squad. Just creative. Love watching him run down the wing when I'm in person and I get to see up front and close him do all his type of favorite skills on people. But we lose a bit of that defensive ability. And now, when we have Flo going up, we could either have Jutson cover or we could have Lucio cover. So now this just creates more unity. This isn't our all-star team that we're building that has attacking. This builds defense in our back line.
This is the last thing I'll say about Flo is, I agree he is a leader. He does have that trait. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes he makes too many rash decisions. Yes. And I think that sometimes he's a liability. That's all I'll say.
What I will say, though, is I completely agree with all the points you made. I think Beeson needs to start every third game. I think we need to start giving Beeson playing time, and I think he needs to get a depth, and we slowly break Beeson into the starting role. I don't think we throw him in yet. I think we slowly get him used to game time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yule and Jutson, that's fine. I have Cade Cowell on the left. I thought his pace scares defenders, and then his 1v1 situations that he was able to get into or create for others is phenomenal. Yeah. All he had to work on was the finishing, and what a goal he scored against Oakland. Perfectly bottom corner. I preach it to everyone I ever coach or anything. The bottom corner. I don't need these fancy highlight top net goals. Bottom corner is always the hardest. Thierry Henry, one of the greatest strikers of all time, known for just passing in the corner. And that's what he did against Oakland. I'm not saying he's Henry, but he does have the pace. He's got a bit of swagger to him. Now he's got the bottom corner in his locker.
Yeah, though, I mean, as I said with my lineup, that left mid position's up for grabs, right? Mm-hmm. You have a 17-year-old playing it right now. I think that it's at a point in his career path where how is he going to make that transition into the starting 11? We saw him have very strong impacts off the bench. It's just becoming a case of, all right, does he have what it takes to be in the starting 11 and provide for an extended period of time? Because as you said, he's very physical, he's very quick. Maybe his attributes are highlighted because he comes off the bench and there's tired legs. We'll see how he translates into the starting 11. I definitely agree. I want to see him play in the starting 11 at many moments during the season. Mm-hmm.
And then good old reliable death, taxes, and Chris Wondolowski. The 3 things you can count on. Yeah. I'll be the first to admit we're nearing the end. Yeah. I'm probably the millionth person to admit we're nearing the end.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's sad.
The touch is gone, but the work rate is there, and there's no one you want inside the 6-yard box more than Chris Wondolowski. He will find the space. It doesn't matter what league you're in. He will find the space. He'll find the ability. It's just finding ways to connect with him. and hopefully with Cal's youth and Espinoza's work rate, it lightens the workload on him a bit so he can get more into those dangerous spots. And now we have a bit more creativity, so we don't have to just cross to him every time. We can actually find him. I do, however, want to see Benji implemented, and I want to see other options. Same thing I said with Flo. Every third game they can't be playing. Like, you gotta get some of the young guys on. You gotta see. We gotta move. We gotta build for the future. Yes, this is now, and we're trying to make the playoffs now, and hopefully lift MLS Cup. Let's just hope for playoffs, and we'll build as we go.
Yeah.
But I think this is our most solid lineup, and it creates balance in the squad, and it helps all around. And it's not just an attacking lineup. This really helps us all around.
Yeah, I agree with many of your points. Let's see what Almeida comes out with against Houston next week, and
Fierro, Rios, they're all starting. It's half of these guys aren't going to be here.
I just hope that we do add an element of squad rotation throughout the season, and make decisions that foster competition and really drive these players more to keep their starting spot.